Hello, Behzad Ferdel. We are here to talk to Behzad Ferdel about the book The Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie and his point of view on the controversies that occurred when it was published in 1988 while he was in Iran.
In 1989.
1988.
It says 89 here.
Okay. 88.
Where is the book?
Okay.
Give it the book.
When The Satanic Verses was published, what was your reaction?
At the time, I didn't know about this book at all. Nobody knew. It was just all of a sudden that somebody brought this to the attention of Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran, and then from there the controversy started. At the time, I was in Iran, and this book was not published in Iran, was not distributed in Iran, and nobody had ever seen this book, and nobody was allowed to look at this book because this was forbidden. So all the controversy about this is just based on the Khomeini's perception of the book, which was published in the media, in the radio and television. They were talking about it, maybe on the newspapers and so. And that's all. Not a lot of people had a clue that what was this book all about. But they somehow had this impression that, as is mentioned here, that Prophet Muhammad was discredited. And
Talked
all
down
the
upon.
controversy, sorry?
Talked down upon?
Talked down upon, and they said that, nobody is allowed to insult Prophet Muhammad in any capacity at all. And if he does, he's subject to be killed. And that's what all the fatwa was all about, from Ayatollah Khomeini at the time in Iran.
Did you find it offensive? Was it offensive to you?
I'm not Muslim, and I had not read this book, so I didn't know whether I should be offended or not. But based on what they said, it seemed to me that it's just a propaganda. It's somehow trying to divert people's attention from the internal matters, rather than the book itself or something. Because, as you can imagine, the majority of the Iranian people are Muslim, and the majority they don't know English, and majority don't even, read books. So all their perception is, what their imam says. So whatever he says, they just follow it, blindfolded.
Where were you during the time of the publication of the novel?
89, I was in Iran.
88. It was published in 88.
88 or 89, whatever.
During this time, Khomeini was anti-Rushdie and put out a fatwa. Did this act affect your perception of Rushdie and your views on the novel?
Say again?
When Khomeini put out a fatwa.
Okay.
Did this act affect your perception of Rushdie and your views on the novel?
As I say, nobody had read actually the novel. It was just their interpretation of Ayatollah Khomeini of the book and so. So it didn't really, I didn't know Salman Rushdie, and I didn't care. So did a lot of people. Because I didn't even know what was all this book,
Yeah.
This book was all about. It was just based on Ayatollah Khomeini's perception and fatwa. And they just, it was just a reaction that people had without knowing the reason behind it.
How did other people react to the novel? Did men view it differently than women?
I wouldn't know.
You didn't know?
Because as I told you, nobody really did care. They just followed, something that they heard and something they just put away. Because, they had so many problems, they just didn't have time, for these things.
Yeah. So the media covered this controversy?
Yes, they did. There were a lot of, talks about this, that, the other countries are criticizing Ayatollah Khomeini to put this fatwa out, to kill somebody and so. And yes, there was a lot of coverage about this, about the foreigners, foreign countries comment about this fatwa,
Yeah.
and so, and that that at the time in Iran they were very sort of supportive. Well, the government was supportive of Ayatollah Khomeini as the supreme leader,
Yeah.
and that whatever he says, we just have to follow, without any questioning or so.
So most of the population in Iran is Muslim. Um, how did the population view the controversy? Did it matter what religion you were in Iran
What you
to
mean?
view the controversy? Like, did your religion matter in how you viewed it?
Oh yes, of course. I mean, the majority are Muslim, but and the majorities are, the perception is affected by the perception of their imam, without knowing the reason behind it. If they say something is good, they say it's good. If they say something is bad, it's bad. This is the general perception of the population, without knowing the exact reason behind it.
Yeah.
And because people didn't have access to the actual book, so they just couldn't give any comment.
When you know how you had a lot of Muslim friends, did their views on it affect how you thought about it? Did they like push you
Well, the
to think
people
about it?
I knew around myself, I believe that they had similar views. They even didn't think about it because they didn't have access to the book. They didn't know what was the book all about or whatever.
They just judged it on what Ayatollah Khomeini said.
They just followed because it wouldn't affect the internal affairs. It was just a controversy, which was based mainly reflected in the foreign media and foreign countries rather than in Iran.
Yeah.
Because Salman Rushdie was not in Iran, so nobody in Iran would be able really to try to kill him or whatever. So, I mean, people in Iran had so much internal problems, that they wouldn't actually bother themselves with this news.
Yeah. So, people like yourself who are Jewish just found it offensive to the Muslim culture and they just moved on with their life, or
But no, they just didn't have any comment. They just moved on, because this was a matter between the Muslims and Muslims. So it was not really part of their concern. They just moved on.
okay. Anything else? Did the controversy affect you a lot in Iran, or was it just something on the side that you didn't
It
really
was on the side. It didn't really have anything to do with the day-to-day life of Iranian citizens.
Okay. Are you interested in reading the book? Are you?
Well, I would like to. Now that I've got the chance to read the book, I just want to know what's all about. What's
You mean, yeah.
because from what I just had a quick look into it. It seems like a novel, like a story,
Yeah.
imaginary story. So I just want to know what's all this controversy about. Not that I would particularly be interested in reading such a book, but just from that point of view, because it made a lot of controversy at the time, I just want to know what's it all about.
Okay.
Because there was some speculations that they just made this up, so the book is going to sell more in the world.
Yeah.
Because nobody at the time knew anything about Salman Rushdie, but all of a sudden he became famous and he became an icon,
Yeah.
in the world, that everybody was looking for him. But I don't know if it was the case or not. But I believe that this has caused that this book has to have a good selling point.
Yeah.
From that point of view, I would like to go through this book, see what's all about. Otherwise, I don't really have time.
Do you think Salman Rushdie should feel like guilty about offending the Muslim religion? Should he have been punished for it?
Well, the thing is, I don't know about the Islamic rules and things, as such. But as far as I know, Islam is not a tolerant religion when it comes, to its maybe prophets or these things.
Prophets, yeah.
Prophets and the people in that category. So I just have to leave it, to the Muslims.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of Muslims are not that fanatic, and they don't view these things, and they have more logic approach, to this controversy.
That's everything.
Do you have any more questions? Please do. Don't worry. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, my dear.
Bye.
Bye.